Welcome to Bluebook video number 12 on capitalizations, numbers, and symbols. In this video, we are going to look at format considerations regarding capitalization, then numbers, and finally we will look at symbols. First, let's look at capitalization. For party designations, you capitalize nouns that identify specific persons, officials, groups, government officers, or government bodies. Do not capitalize when the noun is a general reference. Let's look at some examples. In the first example, president would be capitalized because it identifies a specific person in his government capacity. In the second example, notice the presidential veto is not capitalized because it's a general reference, whereas the first example, the power upon the president, is capitalized because it's referencing a specific person in his government capacity. Finally, the third example reads, the various organizations' presidents met briefly. Again, presidents here is not capitalized because it's used as a noun as a general reference. For other party designations, only capitalize party designations such as plaintiff, defendant, appellant, and appellee when referring to parties in the matter that is subject of your document. Let's look at an example. In this case, plaintiff denies defendant's baseless allegations of misconduct. Here, plaintiff and defendant are capitalized because they are the subject of your document. By contrast, please look at the second example, which reads, in Smith, the plaintiffs alleged that the defendant acted in bad faith. Here the plaintiffs are from the Smith case, not the subject of your document, so it is not capitalized. Now let's look at capitalization rules regarding judge and justice designations. Only capitalize judge or justice when giving the name of a specific judge or justice or when referring to a justice of the Supreme Court of the United States. For example, Justice Ruth Bader Ginsburg and Judge Gerald Jorgensen both are capitalized because they are giving the specific name of the judge or justice. Now look at the third example. The judge continued our case to the next month. Here, judge would not be capitalized because you are not giving the specific name of the judge, and he or she is not a justice of the United States Supreme Court. The fourth example reads, the justices of the United States Supreme Court grant certiorari in very few cases each year. Here, justices is capitalized because it is used as a reference to the justices of the United States Supreme Court. Finally, the justices of the South Dakota Supreme Court hear oral arguments multiple times per year. In this quote, here, justices is not capitalized because it is not giving a specific name and it is not referring to the justices of the United States Supreme Court. Now let's look at capitalization rules involving court. Capitalize court when you are referring to the United States Supreme Court or when naming any court in full. Look at this example. In this example, the C in court is capitalized because it is a reference to the United States Supreme Court. Take a look at the second example. The South Dakota Supreme Court held that a statute was ambiguous. Here, court is capitalized because the South Dakota Supreme Court is named in full. Also capitalize court in a document when referring to the court that will be receiving the document. For example, this court should find the other jurisdictional cases as analogous and persuasive authority. Court is capitalized because you are referring to the court that will be receiving that document. As a contrast, the court in the California case set forth a logical rational basis argument with very similar facts. Here, the court is not capitalized because the California court is not the one receiving your document. Next, let's look at numerals and symbols. The basic rule when and when not to spell out numerals is that you should spell out all numerals 0 through 99. numerals of 100 or more should be displayed in numerals. There are exceptions to this rule, however. For instance, as with anything that begins a sentence, you need to spell out any numerals that begin sentences. You may spell out 100, 1,000, or other similar round numbers, but when you need to do so consistently. Next, use numerals in a series that includes both numerals below and above 100. Use numerals when the numeral contains a decimal point. Finally, you should use numerals in the material if it's repeatedly referred to in percentages or dollar amounts. These rules are found in Bluebook Rule 6.2 sub A. The Bluebook does not address when to use hyphens in numerals. The general rule is to use a hyphen in a compound number between 1 and 99. So here, 95 has a hyphen between 90 and 5. Notice that the numbers 100 and 5,000 do not have hyphens because they are not compound numbers between 1 and 99. But also notice that the number 3032 uses a hyphen in part of the number that contains a compound number. Finally, notice that it does not say 3032. Finally, let's address symbols. In earlier videos, we discussed how to use the section symbols in citations to statutes as well as in textual references. The rule governing both section symbols as well as paragraph symbols is Bluebook Rule 6.2 sub C. Regarding dollar and percent symbols, which is governed by Bluebook Rule 6.2 sub D, the Bluebook rule is that the symbols should be used whenever numerals are used, so anytime a number is over 99. For example, here the $ symbol would be used with $100 and the percent symbol is used for 150%. If the number is spelled out, percent or dollar is spelled out. So for example, here the word dollar is spelled out for $30 and the word percent is spelled out for 99%. This concludes Bluebook video number 12.